Welcome back to the Black Carnivore podcast. I am bringing you today another member of the Black Carnivore community who has had a wonderful success following the carnivore diet. And I really wanted to talk to her and hear about what her method was, why she did it, how it worked out, how she likes it, what her best practices and best tips are to bring that information to you. So, without further ado, let's start talking to Linda.
Thank you for having me on and inviting me. Oh, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know what the years were. I just know that I was like 37, maybe almost 40. And I got tired of the pounds being, can't fit anything, can't shop. So my sister actually introduced me, believe it or not, to Atkins. That's where it all started. And that's the first low carb, high fat diet that I know. I know there's Scarsdale or whatever that was before that, but Atkins was what I was introduced to. And I had great
Wait, are you
success.
saying she introduced you to that back in the 90s, or when was that?
I would say that she introduced it to me, I would say probably 2005. I
Oh,
would say it
okay.
was about 2005. But before that, my mother was on it too. And I was a kid, I didn't know. So my sister introduced me to that and she was like, let's do this together. And I was like, okay, fine. I mainly did it because I could not believe that you can eat fatty meat and lose weight. So I wanted to prove that wrong. But I ended up proving myself wrong and actually dropping my first 40 pounds. But the thing about Atkins is it doesn't teach you maintenance. So he was implementing adding carbs back in to your diet, basically junk food. What made you fat to begin with? And that was a downhill for me because I was like, oh, I can add back in bread. I can add back in, my sweets and all that. And no, it's a lifestyle. So long story short, got off that, gained some weight back. I think I actually gained the 40 pounds plus back and
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, this did not work. I mean, it worked, but the maintenance, they need to rewrite that and change that a little bit. Good thing though, you learn from your mistakes. So for me, I learned from my mistakes. I'm a researcher. I like researching things, especially for myself. So I got into YouTube, and I would say this is probably after I got married. So I would say probably about 2010, maybe 2012. And I started watching YouTube and I was like fascinated with it. I mean, it's, I'm in my 50s, so it's like, ooh, this is cool. People are making money and teaching you how you can learn anything on YouTube. Let's just say that. So I ended up researching, and then I'm a prayerful person. So I'm like, God, I got to get this fat off my body. Help me. And one day I opened up YouTube and everything on there was low carb. And I was like, what is this low carb keto? So let me research this and see what this is about. And when I got into it, I was like, this sounds like Atkins, but it was a little bit different. Whereas it kind of had a little bit of a maintenance that went with it when you reach your goal and how you're supposed to eat once you reach your goal. So I was like, okay, let me try this. And I did it, seriously did it in 2018. That's how much research I did because I was like, I can't start this and then fail again. There is no way I'm going to
So for
waste my
several
time.
years, you were
Yeah,
researching to.
but I was kind of eating that way too, but I wasn't committed. I didn't commit myself until literally 2018. And that was keto, where you eat meat, you eat fat, and you eat a little bit of veg. Well, I wasn't eating a little bit of veg, I was still eating vegetables. And it wasn't until open up YouTube again and here's this word carnivore. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And it was Dr. Ken Berry. And he was saying, oh, I'm doing carnivore for 30 days. I'm doing carnivore for 60 days. So I was like, that's just eating meat. That's simple. Just cook some meat, cook some fat, and eat that, you know? So that's what I did. And that's actually what helped me lose the 40 pounds. I'm a little bit under the 40 pounds now because I started lifting weights. And the other thing I started doing recently, I would say June 6th, I started this. I don't know if you've heard of it, but protein sparing modified fast is what I started doing because I hit a stall. And I was like, I'm eating all this fat because the keto, they're like, eat more fat if you want to lose fat. That's not the case, y'all. Don't do that. So I was like, I gotta find another way. Went straight back to praying and opened up my YouTube again. I mean, God just answers me through YouTube, I guess. So I opened up my YouTube again, and Maria Emmerich was on there and her husband. And I was like, I saw this lady years ago. And I never, it's never time for you to get something until it's time. So even though I heard her years ago, it didn't click until I needed it. So I was like, let me see about this protein sparing. So I started making her bread and I started doing the egg whites and broke that stall within 3 days, 9 pounds down. Of course, it's probably water.
What?
But even now,
Wow.
yes, 9 pounds in 3 days, breaking the
Wait, so I
stall.
have a bunch of questions. So I want to ask more about that, but let's just go back for a sec. So you said that
Got it.
you had originally lost 40 pounds on Atkins, and then you
Mm-hmm.
had gained that back when you came off of it, and there was no, you didn't feel like there was a maintenance or direction about how you were supposed to maintain the
There
weight.
wasn't.
And then you started eating less carbs and less sugar while you were doing your research about low carb
Mm-hmm.
and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but then didn't but then you jump back in on keto
Mm-hmm.
in 2018, started to lose
Mm-hmm.
weight, and then had a stall, and so switched to carnivore and continued to lose weight. Is that the story?
That's exactly what happened. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you. This is my research book.
Oh,
This
wow.
is full of research. I mean, I don't just watch out, I literally take notes. And I have to actually rewrite this because things have changed. When keto first started, it was all about eat bacon, eat eggs, pile up on the fat, you drink olive oil, drink MCT oil, put butter in your coffee. And I did that. And yes, it did work. And the reason why it worked is because I was becoming fat adapted. I was burning sugar all my life. And then all of a sudden, here I am loading my body with fat. So, of course, it worked for a little while. And then after that, it was like, no, this is too much fat. Even when I went carnivore, I was putting the fat on my meat. I was still drinking the bulletproof coffees. And I'm telling you, I hit a stall, and that stall lasted for at least, because I remember us going to Brazil and visiting family and coming back. And I'm like, I'm still, what I really didn't hit a stall. I wasn't losing weight and I wasn't gaining weight. I was just maintaining. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I want to still lose
How
weight
long did that stall go on?
for about 6 months, almost 7 months.
Oh, okay. All right. So
And
that's a
I
real
was
stall.
like, yeah, this is ridiculous. I'm sitting here, I'm following everything that everyone says. I started watching multitudes of videos of all these influencers about keto, and I was like, something's not right. And it was with Maria and Craig Emmerich that where it clicked in my head, and I was like, oh my God, I'm loading up on fat. No wonder. And literally within that 6 month stall, I actually started gaining weight. So I was like, okay, let me try this protein sparing modified fast. I'm telling you, I started June 6th, 6, 7, 8. On June 9th, I dropped 9 pounds in 3
So
days.
tell me exactly what a protein sparing modified fast looks like for you.
So for me, I'm teaching myself because with this protein modified fast, they actually have a calculator. You can always get on their site and look up. You can use any calculator, but I just used theirs. It was just simple. I didn't pay for anything. Like I said, I'm a researcher. I'm pretty smart enough to know this is what you have to do. Plus, I bought some of her cookbooks. So for me, I'm trying to teach myself how to eat breakfast. I normally didn't eat breakfast. I was doing long fasting. I mean, 12-hour, 18-hour, 20-hour fast, and then eating lunch. And their thing, and what's made me change to follow them is I don't want to lose muscle mass in my 50s. I want to keep my muscle. And that's what sold me was that because I was losing muscle mass. I'm sitting up here lifting weights, but I still have bye-bye arms, you know, where you have the little fly
Yeah.
under your arm. I don't want that. I want my muscles. So that's what sold me on doing this protein modified fast. So and I actually talked to Maria, wrote her, and she was like, Linda, you have to eat 3 meals because you need that protein. So I was like, God, you know, how am I going to, for me, I have to eat on my normal days 146 grams of protein. On my protein sparing modified days is 116 grams. It's 1 gram to your ideal
Wait,
body weight.
116 or 160?
116, 116.
Oh, okay. So wait, on the days that you are eating high fat, you're eating 146 grams of fat. And then
Yes.
the
Mm-hmm.
days that you are doing a protein sparing modified fast, you're eating
Mm-hmm.
less protein.
Less protein.
Okay.
And the reason, and it's less calories too. So it's about 100, it's about 846 calories for me on the protein sparing modified, because it's almost like you're mocking a fast is what you're doing, but you're eating so that
Mhm.
you're eating protein to keep your muscle mass. So for me, I might eat some egg whites in the morning or because I can't drink coffee anymore. I just got out of the ER from a coffee. So no coffee. And Maria pushes that. She's like, don't drink coffee. It's not good. I learned my lesson. It isn't good. And I think since I
Wait,
started
we
the
got to come
protein,
back to that. How did coffee
yeah,
send you to
since,
the ER?
oh gosh, heart, my heart was racing pretty bad.
Okay.
So yeah, and they told me stop the coffee, girl. When I wasn't drinking like a little coffee, I was drinking a big old venti iced coffee. You know, come on, that was too much. And I was doing it every day. Once, but every day. And I guess it just caught up to me. I think my body is so clean from eating like this that the coffee was just a big jolt. And it's, you know, it didn't take me long to get to stop drinking the coffee, let's just say that. But it was just too much. So I just drink water in the morning. If I have breakfast, I have breakfast. If I don't, I don't. I go by how I feel. So some days I might eat some egg whites on my lean days. On my days, so my lean days are probably like 3 to 4 days a week because I have about 30, 40, maybe 50 pounds. 50 will be
Hmm.
great to lose. And on my regular days, I'll eat a steak with the fat on it. I'll eat bacon. I'll eat burgers, um, avocado, all those fatty things, butter with my food because you're supposed to load back up. They call it refeeding. So you're supposed to refeed your body because you need the fat also for your hormones, you need it for brain function and all that. So that is basically what I, and for lunch, depending on what the day is. Fish, chicken, without the skin, pork, cutting off that fat ring that I love so much. But on the lean day, cut that off, put it in the fridge, and you can fry that in the air fryer on your fat day, and then you can eat that. So that's pretty much what we do. And my husband does it too. Now, my husband is a lean. He's very small. He's very lean and healthy. But the one thing about eating like this is that it maintains his muscle. His skin looks great. Uh, he's bald, so we can't say anything about his hair. So that is one thing that I noticed. And the other thing I noticed, my hair isn't shedding. When I first started keto and low carb, my hair started shedding a little bit. When I started eating carnivore, it did grow back in, but it wasn't. Once I started doing this protein sparing modified fast days, I noticed that my hair is super thick. It's getting, I mean, I'm just like, come on. Do I got to start putting heat in my hair? So, you know.
It's actually interesting what you're saying. So, for everybody watching, I also do coaching and I work with people on losing weight, using a carnivore diet, and do use a low fat approach for some people. So, I do think that when you're getting started, you really do have to be fat adapted before you start doing the low fat stuff. So if you're watching this and you are not in ketosis, or you've just started and you haven't been in ketosis a week yet, don't start doing this. You really have to get fat adapted first. And then when you're healing, there's also a lot of parts of your body that really need and benefit from eating the fat. So I feel like, the first couple of months, it is fine to do a high fat carnivore diet, and you probably will see weight loss. But over time, you might get to the point where you're not losing, and then that's when you can start playing around with this different stuff. But what I'm hearing from you is, the higher amount of protein is really important, and this is something that I think women generally struggle with. We don't get as much protein, and so when we really make that effort to step it up, you don't find weight gain. You find like your hair improves, your skin improves, your bones get denser, and and all these other things happen.
Yes.
So I do think it's really important to eat. I do think it's really important to eat more protein, and that's definitely something that I push. But I again want to say to everybody watching, if you're interested in trying this approach, make sure you do your research. Just like Linda had that, big book where she's taking notes. I think a low fat approach can be really helpful and healthy, but only if you're doing it right. And if you're not really doing it right, you can cause yourself a lot of problems. So you can really either do that, or you can come to me and we can work on it together, and I can make sure that you are doing well. But that's a way to think about it and a way to do it. So
and I want to add
keep going, Linda.
I want to add something to that. If you're already lean, you've already hit your goal, and you're just trying to like lean out, because some people that are lean, they have no muscle. So if you're already lean and you're already at your goal, protein sparing modified fast, or what they used to call it, protein days, where you just eat protein, low protein, it's not for you. This is for people that literally have weight to lose and they hit a stall. It's not for a person that's just starting out and they're trying to get adapted, like you said, with the fat and changing your body over. You literally have to eat that fat for at least a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, depending on how much weight you have to lose, just to get that fat in your system and switch from burning sugar to burning fat. And once you do that and you're losing weight continue with that. Continue enjoying your pork bellies and your steaks and your pork chops and chicken with butter or some type of a buttery gravy sauce. We all know how great that is. Fat makes everything taste delicious. But the moment you hit that stall, that's when you probably need to switch it up and start thinking, okay, maybe I need to do lean days, dial that fat down just a tiny, tiny bit. I'm not saying cut out the fat, I'm saying just dial it down to where you start noticing that that scale starts to change and that tape measure starts to change and the clothes start to change, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to change the composition of your body. And that's what I noticed. The
So how
scale
many
might not
lean
change.
Yeah. So how many lean days do you do versus fat days?
I do between 3 to 4 lean days because, like I said, I have at least 50 pounds to lose. If I can do 50, I'm good. And if I can get to my goal weight where I really want to be, I'm great. And then the rest of the days, probably 3 days of fat days.
Okay.
And it just depends because some days you have to listen to your body. My body is not anyone else's body. I just know me. So if I am craving a steak, a fatty piece of meat, I'm going to eat it. And then the next day, I'll see how I feel. You know what? I don't really want that steak. I actually want chicken. And when I first started carnivore, I was so happy that I didn't have to eat chicken and turkey and oh, your dog is so cute. And
Thank you.
and all those, white fish and tuna. I was like, I can eat a steak. I mean, a ribeye, and I was like, great. And now that I'm on I really had to force myself to literally eat chicken without the skin. I was just like, these lean days ain't what I'm used to
Yeah.
eating fat.
Well,
But
tell me, what does it feel like the day that you know that you need fat? What does that actually feel like? Because anybody listening is going to be wondering, like, how do you know? What's that feeling?
I'm actually thinking about a steak or um like I'll be thinking, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight? Or, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? And, or I'll open up the freezer and be like, I really don't want to cook that chicken. I actually want one of these ribeyes, or I want some ground beef that's not lean. That is what I'm craving right now. And people try to say that no, women, we have cravings. And my body is telling me I want ground beef with or chili that with not taking the fat out or anything. I want everything in it. I've been eating fat long enough to know that I know when I want fat and I know when I need to do a lean day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that I can explain it. Um, you'll never know until you start eating this way and then you stop. And then you'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? Ugh, I really want something fatty today. And if you don't eat the meat, the fatty meat, what you'll end up doing is you'll start eating some junk. That's when you know also. When I start craving, like, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to set anybody on that negative,
We know
but
what you
just
mean.
that package, yeah, that
Yeah.
packaged trash. When I start feeling like I need that packaged trash, that's when I know I need to eat some. I need something that's going to sustain me, and fat sustains us. Not
Mm-hmm.
a lean piece of chicken and some egg whites and some, that Wonder Bread that everybody's making. That is not going to sustain me long term. I need a big piece of meat with some fat on it. That's how you know. I mean, seriously, that's the only way that I can explain it. I hope
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah, no, for me, I
Clear.
found on those days when I had strung too many low fat days together, I, might find myself in the refrigerator, or like
Mm-hmm.
literally slicing up the
Looking for some
butter and
peanut
starting
butter
to
or
eat
something.
it.
Yeah. Or some peanut
Well,
butter or
that
something.
yeah, well, for me, peanut butter wasn't going to call, but yeah, regular butter, that I would find
Mm-hmm. That
myself
too.
doing that. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I knew, okay, I've gone too long and it's time to
Yeah. And that
have
was me.
something
I was
fatty. Hmm.
freezing the butter and, picking it out and putting
Yeah.
it in my mouth and walking around the house. And I was like, yeah, I need to eat some meat with fat on it. That's how you
So,
know. And people think that
yeah,
that's crazy that carnivores or people that are fat adapted crave fat.
yeah,
It's how is that crazy when standard American diet or people that eat the standard American diet, they crave sugar.
yeah,
So
absolutely. So, tell me, are you still, so are you tracking like in MyFitnessPal, or are you taking it easy now and you just kind of have a higher fat day and then you eat leaner on some days, or how do you manage that?
I noticed that it was become when I was tracking, I noticed that it was becoming a crutch. I
Mm.
guess that's how I can say it. It was dominating my life, the tracking. And I had to get myself out of that mindset and trust the process. Tracking is fine when you're first starting, or tracking is fine to see exactly how much the amount of meat you're supposed to eat looks like. Weighing the food one time so that you can see what it looks like, what it feels like in your hand, and then you should be done. Just like the scale. I don't get on the scale. I go by what the mirror says. And that's the same way with the food. I go by how my feelings are. And if, like I said, if I want to eat lean, then I'll eat lean because I know I have to. And then on those other days, because I have a goal in mind. So that's what we have to keep in mind. You eat the lean days because you're trying to get an end goal. It's not forever. Once you hit your goal, you can up that fat again because now you're maintaining and you want to keep it at a set so that you don't gain weight and that you don't lose weight. You just stay where it's comfortable for you. But for
Hmm.
right now, for anyone that's listening and you're trying to lose weight, you you got to make a sacrifice, and the sacrifice is sometimes eating a leaner cut of meat, a tenderloin, some chicken, like I said, some fish, some shrimp. It's still good food. It's just leaner with
You
a
know, and
lower
I think
amount of
you're
fat.
absolutely I think you're absolutely right. It is
Mm-hmm.
still good food. And,
Mm-hmm.
I've started eating some more of the lean cuts and discovering, London broil is actually really flavorful. You just
Yes.
got to cook it right and
Yeah, you
be
do.
careful with it.
Almost raw. I mean, not
Yeah.
raw, but you can't
Yeah.
overcook it.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
definitely
good.
don't want to overcook it. But if you cook
Yeah.
it right, it is actually really flavorful. And I find
Mm-hmm.
it tastes like beefy butter to me. So
Yeah, I
it's
find
really
that
got a
too.
very nice flavor. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of different cuts that we overlook as carnivores because they're not
Mm-hmm.
ribeyes. And if you're feeling, the women I've worked with have often said that they like the variety that they get, so now we're talking about different types of pork. And like you said, the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
tenderloin, the filet
Mm-hmm.
mignon, the New York strip,
Exactly.
the different kinds of ham and making the bread, and now having like,
Mm-hmm.
essentially like an egg McMuffin with
Exactly.
Canadian bacon. And
That's right.
yeah, so I do encourage people. I mean, you've got to do the approach that's going to work for you, and
Yes.
definitely you want to stick with your body, but don't feel like, if you wanted to incorporate some leaner cuts, don't feel like, this is the worst thing in the world, and you're just going to be suffering. It's going to be it's a pleasure. You will enjoy that, those things, and so relax into it and enjoy it.
And that's that. I love that. I love that you say that. This should be a journey of enjoyment. Seriously. Our lives revolve around food so much, and especially in the Black community, we get together with the family and it's, collard greens, cornbread, it's just so much. And it's like, we really have to make a change for the youth and for ourselves, and change up how we eat and how we cook food nowadays for our health. I mean, before it was about survival. And now, let's change our mindset and try to get it more on our health. You can still eat, your greens with your ham in it, but there's another way of making the bread. There seriously is. That bread that I'm making, I'm telling you, that it really saved my life, to be honest with you, because now I can actually have a hamburger with a patty. I mean, with a piece of bread on top of it. It might not be your normal bread. And someone asked me about the bread, because I post a lot on Instagram on what I eat. And they were like, isn't the bread squishy? And I'm like, toast it. Is the bottom line
Isn't
is
that what
you're
you
able
want?
to,
Squishy bread
yeah.
on a hamburger? I don't know.
I don't know what they were talking about, but they were just, I
Yeah.
mean, it's egg whites. We get it. But
Yeah.
we're talking about your health. So which is better, eating that white bread that's got flour and all that junk in it, or eating a piece of mock bread that's made with egg whites and egg white protein powder? Come on. If it gets you to your mind, if it, switches your mind over to make you think, because I'm telling you, when you cut that bread up and you look at it, it looks like white freaking bread. And to me, the way I season it, because you don't have to follow her seasoning, you can do your thing. So the way I season it, it's kind of sweet. It's, has the salt in it, and it tastes like bread. My father used to be a baker, so I know what fresh bread tastes like. I'm making my bread taste like fresh bread. So don't tell me if it's squishy or not, honey. Put that thing in the toaster and toast it up and eat your sandwich.
Mm.
I'm able to eat sandwiches now. That's unheard of in the keto. Nobody eat unless you buy that packaged keto bread, which is loaded with junk. I'd
Yeah.
rather make it myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this has
that bread is pretty
changed.
revolutionary. And
Yeah.
I'm not a huge, I mean, even before this, like even when I was not low carb, like I just never liked bread, even as a kid. And
Oh
so
gosh, you're so
I know.
lucky.
Well, no, I made up for it with the candy and the cake. Like
Oh, got it.
I was keto long before there was a keto. I would have been carnivore from the get-go. It had it not been for chocolate and cake and,
Got
and
it.
so on. But I didn't really like bread, but it is a useful way to, get food
Mm-hmm.
from the plate to the mouth. And so that is one thing
Exactly.
that I have missed on a keto and on the carnivore journey, is
Mm-hmm.
just, that functional way that it is helpful. So so one of my friends on Instagram, you all, maybe you saw, Rustin Boneyard, I think that's his Instagram handle. He made this mushroom and beef pot pie with that bread, the protein sparing modified bread, on top as the, as the
Mm-hmm.
pie part.
The crust.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so he made a video with the with the recipe just for me. So I'm going to try that this week. I'm not a fan of the mushrooms, but I have been wanting beef pot pie. I loved that, as a kid, and
Mm-hmm.
so and shepherd's pie is another one that I'd love. So I really do want to try it. So I'm definitely going
And
to do
see,
that this
mine's is
week
the
and see how
cake.
it is.
She
Yeah.
makes the angel food cake with real fruit on it.
Yeah,
And I
that
was
I'm not
like,
going to do.
I gotta try that.
I see that leading somewhere bad very quickly. So
I might make
I
a
don't want to
mini one, a
yeah,
mini
I don't
one
want
and
to
try it
repeat the
out.
cake. Yeah.
I have done her French toast and I have that on
Uh-huh.
Sunday mornings. And I'm just like, this is game changer. Are you
Yeah.
serious? And
Yeah.
it makes you almost feel like you're doing something bad. Then you have to remind yourself, this is just egg whites with cinnamon and maybe a little, don't go overboard on that sugar-free syrup now, but just a
Yeah.
little bit of syrup. And it's like, I really feel like I'm eating French toast and I'm
Yeah.
cheating. And you're not, you're eating protein.
Mhm.
So if I can eat my
That's
protein that
amazing.
way, yeah, that to me, I'm telling you, it saved me because I was, we travel and it's like, I don't care. I'm just go get me a hamburger with everything, and I'm just going to eat the whole thing. And now it's like, I don't need to do that, especially when we're overseas. It's like I can bring, all I need is the egg whites and the protein powder. I can pack that in a suitcase and I can make this in my kitchen, in South America. So this works for me. This
Well,
works for
tell
me.
me what keeps you on track? I mean, you just talked about traveling and it's so easy to just, order whatever and
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
now it sounds like you are determined and you're on this. So
Mm-hmm.
what keeps you that way?
Um, the clothes, shopping. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. It's the
Yeah.
clothes and the shopping and having people say, oh, you don't look your age, because you don't age when you eat right. And that's what mainly keeps me on track. But I'm not gonna sit here and be completely um bogus and bougie about this and say that I don't have slip up days. We all do. And and the only thing I could say about that is when you slip up, don't give up. Just keep going. And that's what I do. I screwed up today. Well, there's always tomorrow. And I just start over the next day. I don't even think about it because we do have, I don't want to try to advocate this on this channel, but if you have that time where you mess up, just dust yourself off and next day, don't have a pity party about it. And that's what keeps me on track. I don't party it. I just, okay, next. And I just keep going. Even if I screw up early in the morning, okay, I can do better on lunch. That's what keeps me going. But what really motivates me is the clothes in my closet and the compliments that I get and how I feel. Because when you do have that mess up day, believe me, you're going to feel it. And you're going to be like, why did I do that? You feel horrible. You really do. And you almost feel like the keto, that flu, that withdrawal symptom. I don't, going through that once is enough if you've ever experienced that. I don't know if you've
Well,
experienced
how
that,
do
have
you
you?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
But
that's no fun.
how do you feel now versus how you felt before you got started on carnivore? I mean, like
Ooh,
what are the differences?
energetic. I sleep so good. I mean, man, and I mean sleep through the night. I might get up for a bathroom break or whatever, but I get right back in the bed and boom, I'm right back to sleep. Whereas before, when I was heavy and I was breathing and couldn't walk upstairs hardly, the knees were cracking, the back, the headaches, it was just a multitude of just nonsense from eating incorrectly, eating the poor quality food, always on the run, and let me pull in here and get something real quick instead of cooking in my kitchen. Now I actually enjoy cooking. And
Mhm.
People think, it's so hard. No, get yourself a crock pot, an electric fire, an air fryer, you know what I'm saying? And a pressure cooker. That's all you need. And an oven. And if you don't want to cook on the stove, throw everything in the oven and throw them in those three things that I just mentioned and walk away. That's what I do. And Sundays is when I have the pressure cooker going, the crock pot going, the oven. I cook like 4 or 5 meals and then just pack them up and pack up a lunch, and there you go. It's very simple. This is not a hard lifestyle, especially if you're carnivore. You're just cooking meat.
Mm-hmm.
You can how hard is it to cook meat? If you have a grill, you live in a state that is grill that stuff up. It's very simple. And a couple of veg if you're keto, there you go. It's so simple. I think this is the easiest lifestyle than being on the standard American diet. It really is. There's no microwaving really. I mean, unless you want to just heat your food up again, but there's really no junk. And you can make your own junk. I mean, with pork skins. I make nachos with pork skins. Come on. People put
Mm-hmm.
some chicken on there and some steak and stuff. This is
Yeah,
not a
I've
hard.
made fried chicken with the pork rinds, and man, I
Yeah,
was stunned at how
me
much
too.
it is exactly
Exactly
like
like
the chicken.
crispy
And
fried
so, yeah,
chicken.
I was like, this is amazing. So for all of you who haven't tried that yet, I definitely encourage you to do it.
Hmm. You can even do for people that grew up, because I grew up in a household. This is so sad, but the brown paper bag, the flour, shaking the chicken and shaking the pork chops and then frying them. You can do that with your pork skins, with pork
Absolutely.
chops. You can even put it on a steak if you want a crispy steak. I mean, if you're into that. But
I
you
did
can
that
even use
once. It
those.
was it
Yeah,
was
so did
delicious.
I, because I was like, let me try this. I kind of want this
Yeah,
crispy.
chicken
But
fried steak. It's the
yeah,
same.
exactly. I've even seen someone make a pie crust and put
Hmm.
cinnamon and sugar on those. And I was like, what? I'm not ready to try that yet because it's pork skins. Come on. Maybe I'll try it. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. It'd have to be plain pork skins or something, pork rinds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm telling you, this is like the simplest lifestyle and way of eating. I'm not trying to endorse it. I mean, just try it. Give it 30 days
Hmm.
of fat adaptation and give it another 30 days of either doing carnivore or keto. And I guarantee you will start dropping those pounds and those inches. It might be, and don't get on YouTube. This is one thing that I made a mistake with, looking at people and saying, damn, they lost that weight so fast. And they make it seem like they lost that weight so fast. Just enjoy the process and if it's slow, let it be slow because you're healing your body. And that's what people forget. All that damage. I mean, I've been eating junk for almost 40 years. And then one day I decide to change over. That was a lot of damage from being a child to a mid adult, almost 37. So come on, you need to heal. You have to heal your mind, your skin, the inside of your body, and then the outside of your body for that to even start showing, for you to even start seeing the results. You'll see the results and it'll be water weight at first, but then I'm telling you, that weight is going to come off. Those clothes are going to be loose. You don't know. Thank God I know how to sew. You don't know how many pants I've sewn because I was like, I refuse to buy another pair of pants.
Well, so tell
Yes.
me how much. So you lost. How much weight did you lose on keto, and then Since you've transitioned to carnivore, how much weight have you lost?
Okay, I have to combine the both because it was like I started keto and like within became fat adapted, and it didn't take long. It took probably like 3 to 4 weeks for me to actually see ketones. And that's when I
Mm-hmm.
knew, okay, and the ketones were pretty, they were like 3 point, they were pretty high at first. And then
Mm-hmm.
they started dropping down as my body became more, because I was using them more efficiently. I mean, my body uses ketones really nicely. So now if I read my ketones, it's one, maybe 1.3. I mean, not even one, it's like 0.1. It's very low because I'm really using them. So once that started happening and I found out about carnivore, I was like, I didn't hesitate. I just jumped right into carnivore because I was
Mm-hmm.
excited about eating meat and just me
Mm-hmm.
and not having to cook vegetables and have vegetables go to waste and eating salad and stuff. So I was like, oh, I can just eat meat. Okay, let me
Yeah.
try that. So it was very quick. And once I mean, I dropped probably like 20 pounds, 25, 30 pounds. And
Mm-hmm.
this is with carnivore. And it started tapering off a little bit. So what I did is I went back to eating a little bit of veg. And it's funny because kind of lowered the protein because I was hearing protein turns to sugar.
Mm-hmm.
You eat too much protein. So I was like, oh my God, that's probably what's going on. So I did do that and I started incorporating longer fasts. And that's how I ended up losing the 10 more pounds to make it 40. And then I hit a stall, like I said, and was like, I'm almost there. And once I changed and started doing the lean days and lowering down the fat, not lowering down the protein, I thought it was the protein, but what it really was, it was too much fat. I still
Mm-hmm.
eat fat. Don't get me wrong, people. I still eat fat, but on my lean days, I eat just a little, I eat probably 20 grams of fat, if that. And on my normal days, it's probably 30, maybe 40 grams of fat. So I do up the fat when I'm eating fat. And on my lean days, it's very lean. And the carbohydrates on my lean days is zero. I don't eat any carbs whatsoever.
So
And I mean,
that
even
actually sounds
vegetables.
really low. So wait, you're saying on your lean days you eat only 20 grams of fat?
Mm-hmm. And a lot of protein, not a lot of protein, but it's a lot of protein. It's
Yeah.
mainly protein.
And then
And
on your high fat days, you are eating how much fat?
about 30 to 40, almost 40, maybe even
That's
50.
not a
It's a
lot
lot
though.
of
If you're
fat.
having a That's not a lot. If you're having a ribeye, I mean, you're probably going to hit, 50 just in that one steak. Are
Mm-hmm.
you talking about added fat or are you talking about the
I'm
total
saying
amount of fat?
added fat. I'm saying added
Oh,
fat.
okay. All
So
right. Gotcha. Gotcha.
yeah, so I'll eat the ribeye with the fat and everything on my fat days, and I
Okay. I
might add a
understand.
little bit of butter. So it's probably or some salad or I mean
Okay.
some dressing or something. So that's what I'm saying. You eat the fat, and then you can add a little bit more fat on your feeding the days that you're refeeding yourself. But on my lean days, I don't add any. What if I cook it in fat? That's the only fat that I'm going to eat. So I
Okay.
cook,
But you may actually be consuming more than 20 grams in a day
yes,
because there's fat
exactly.
in the meat. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome. And so, how much more weight are you looking to lose at this point?
If I can hit 50, I'll be so happy.
Oh, so
50
like
will be
another 10
great.
pounds or so. Yeah.
No,
And
another 50 pounds will
oh,
be
another
great.
50 pounds. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 That would bring me to my ideal weight. Um, you
Hmm.
know, and if it doesn't happen and I end up losing weight, because what happens is our ideal weight might be one number and we could lose, I could lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds and be cool with that. So I don't know. I just have to see. But right now I'm saying 50 pounds would be great, you know.
Yeah.
And if I lose 30 pounds and I feel like my clothes fit, because I'm not tall, but I'm tall. I'm 5'8". So
That's tall. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
but you, well, not compared to my family. My family is really tall. So, you know, that might make me look really, really small if I lost 50 more pounds. I mean, you know, but I feel like the smaller I can get, the more I can eat. Isn't that sick? But anyway,
Yeah.
that's just
Well,
how I feel.
okay. Well, you can. So that does sound like you're on a roll and you're gonna get there for sure. Now, tell me, what is your workout or your fitness regimen like?
Now that is really funny that you asked that, because I just started that 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago. And people would laugh at me if they saw me. I don't go to the gym anymore. I used to go to the gym. And I had a cousin over here who I used to go to the gym with. And she was like, "Oh, I was trying to tell you that a long time ago." Um, we used to go to the gym and I would watch people in the gym and they'd be like really, you know, pumping that. And I'd be like, "Oh, I guess that's how I'm supposed to do it too." And she was like, "No, for women, do it slower." And I was like, "So I'm not making a burn. I'm not burning anything." But I notice now with my workout, I probably work out. Then I used to work out like 4 days. I used to go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week, no progress. And now it's like 2 days a week for like 15, 20 minutes. I don't, maybe 3 days a week, depending on how I feel and how my schedule is. And um, the workout is really controlled and very slow, to where before I used to try to like do 50, 60, you know, reps. Please, I don't do that anymore. I do like 5, 6, maybe 8. And that's really pushing it. And at a very, I mean, so slow, to where I can feel the stretch going up and the stretch going down. And I'm telling you, that slow movement, people don't realize you really get a burn from that.
Yeah,
And
I feel
that's
like
what
there
my
was a
schedule,
book called
that's what
like
it,
Slow Burn or something like that,
mm-hmm,
where they were talking
mm-hmm.
about the science of doing your workouts really slow like that.
And the only thing that I do, and I used to do cardio, I used to be big on cardio, the treadmill, the elliptical, the stair, everything. And now I don't even, I walk. I mean, I walk around at my job and all that. That's the only cardio I do. And it's not a brisk, it's just a leisure walk, just to get some sun and just to get out. But I don't do any cardio. I do only strength training and resistance. That's it. And I'm starting to see, especially, I started with my legs and I'm gradually working on my arms. But I noticed with there's clothes that I was like, this, I'll save this for later. And one day I was like, let me try these things on. No problem. I mean, I'm really slimming the legs down. And the other thing that I do too, which is probably not good for my knees, but I wear ankle weights when I'm at home. So on the days that I know that I'm going to work out, I'll strap my ankles. It's usually on the weekends. I'll put ankle weights and just walk around the house with those on all day. Not all day, but I'll do it for like an hour and then take them off. And I'm just like, yeah, I got that workout in. But I noticed with the legs, they're starting to shape up. The composition of them is starting to change. And I'm just like, this, okay. I discovered something here. I probably didn't discover it. I mean, you know, someone else probably invented it, but I discovered it's new to me. So
Yeah.
it's really working. So that's what my workout is, probably about 2 to 3 days, um, 15 to 20 minutes. I just get it in and I'm done. And, you know, Did that. Now let's go do some laundry or something. I don't know, but I don't waste my time with it anymore. No gym
Mhm.
membership, none of that. It's just very quick. And I really think about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and the body part that I'm working, and get it over with and then move on.
Mhm. I actually think that's really important. You know, a lot of times I watch people at the or see people at the gym and they're working out and they're listening to music or talking on the phone and doing all this other
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And, you know, I mean, I feel like I always got the best results when I was really paying attention to the muscle that was working and
Yeah.
contracting it and making sure that I
Mm-hmm.
was, you know, doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that, I needed to, you know, have my full attention. And I often did not listen to
Exactly.
music or anything else. Like I enjoyed just, you know, that process of doing it and feeling my body. So,
I found that to be so true with me when I was going to the gym and paying the membership. And our whole mind is we're going to the gym because we don't have the equipment. So we're paying them to use their equipment. That's great. But if you're going in there and you're distracted, you'll be paying that gym membership forever, because unless you have a personal trainer that's going to pull those earplugs out of your ear and make you work, it's not going to happen. It's not going to
yeah.
happen. You're just going there to social, to do I don't know what you're doing, but I know that I wasn't doing it correctly. And
Hmm.
I was with someone that did know what they were doing, and even they were like, oh, let's just, it wasn't serious. I mean, we thought we were serious, but we weren't. It wasn't until I started working out here in my home that I was serious. Get in front of a mirror and really look at what I'm doing and concentrate on what I'm doing with that weightlifting. Because, like I said before, I'm eating the protein, I'm lifting the weights because I want to keep the muscle that's on my body. There's so many people that are my age and older that have no, you can see them. You can pick them out in the crowd. They're elderly women, let's just say, 50, 60 and up. They have no muscle mass. The moment they fall down or they trip, what's the first thing that happens? They break a hip, they break an ankle, and they never recover because they don't have that muscle mass. And then you see women that are older that do lift weights, and you can definitely tell they are strong. If they did fall, it will be a quick recovery because they have that muscle and that strength to be able to recover faster instead of that jiggly, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Even if you're skinny, I mean, my grandmother was really small. She had no muscle mass, none, just a frail looking
Yeah.
lady.
Yeah.
And ladies, if you're hearing this, that is not what you want to be. You need that muscle mass, and you need to, and I'm not saying lift weights every day. You can do it one day a week. Just be consistent with that one day a week and make sure you put the effort in and you have your mind on what you're doing. One day on your arms, next week work your legs.
And sometimes it pays to get a professional to help you with this. You know,
It does.
you don't have to figure it out on your own.
Mhm.
And sometimes you will get, you know, much better and faster results if you get somebody who can
Mhm.
help you, who's done it before, and who can guide you.
Mhm.
So that's something else that I do in my program. Also give workouts and have workouts built into the whole thing. So if that is
It's
of interest to
beautiful.
you, yeah, so if that's of interest to you, who's for everyone watching, definitely reach out to me, send me a DM or in on Instagram, or leave a message in the comments below, and you know we'll follow up. Well, I am so proud and amazed by you. I mean, you know, whenever I see people on Facebook who are just you know, killing it, I I got to stop and say, what did you do? How did you do this? And let
Exactly.
everybody, yeah, and let everybody hear from you, your story. And and
Your
take from
story is the
you.
one that's amazing. I mean, wow.
Well, we
Wow.
all have great stories, and that's why I created this channel to tell everybody, because everybody's got a different path to carnivore, and and so what is going to be appealing to one person or the next is going to be different, and so that's why it's so fun to have so many people be able to tell their story and be inspiring. So you are definitely inspiring to me,
Thank
and
you.
you have, just figured out a way to listen to your body, to make adjustments, to, to continue to lose weight, and and keep going, and that's awesome. I am
Thank
very
you.
impressed by you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So
Thank
you got to
you.
keep me up to date on what,
I
your progress
will.
is. Keep tagging me, on Facebook. So everybody who's watching, I consolidated two accounts, that had the same name. So now there's only one account with me, with my name.
Okay.
So if you were following the other one and I didn't, send you a message or something, follow me, A Day Fox. There's still only one, and yeah, and then you'll be able to tag me and tag me in your photos and the food photos and stuff that you do.
That's awesome. And I have your
Mhm.
phone number now, so I'll be reaching out to you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, everyone. So, for thank you for watching, and I hope that this has been a really informative and helpful interview. I am just fascinated by the stuff that Linda talked about, and definitely going to incorporate some of that into my program. And I hope that you will
Awesome.
as well. And reach out to me and give me some comments down below. Let me know what you think of the video. If you have any questions or comments or things that you do as well that might be helpful, make sure you put it down below, and we will I'll see you soon, and I look forward to connecting with you on Clubhouse, on Tuesdays at 8 p.m, on the live stream on Thursdays at 7 p.m Eastern time, and then all the other places that I happen to be. Okay. All right, everyone, have a great night.
Good night.